So months ago, Justin shot a horse for me. We had a little. I just had some. I needed a better farrier than what I am, and so he did the job for me. We sat down.
We did one of these videos, talked about shoeing horses. The lighting was crappy. The camera lady threw the video away. I have no idea what the questions were.
I don't remember very many of them, to be honest.
So we're just gonna start again.
Yep.
What's your feelings on Barefoot?
Depends on the horse, and depends on what the horse does. I like to leave horses barefoot until they tell me that they can't be. As far as colts and young horses, things of that nature. As far as I heard it click. I know we're not rolling, but
Yeah.
I do tell people if there's not a damn thing wrong with the horse, and all you do is a little trail riding and stuff, leave them fucking barefoot. Yeah. Until they tell you that they can't be.
That's always my feeling on them is that
I like that color on you.
in the end, I don't care how good of a farrier you are. The worst thing you can possibly do for their foot is put a nail hole in it.
Yeah, absolutely. All you do is weaken the integrity of the foot.
If you can leave them barefoot, I can do it.
Yeah.
Is this a battery issue?
I guess we're just going to have to come back a couple weeks.
I guess so.
Yeah, try again. Yeah. We got one video done, so.
Camera gets happy
Yeah.
again.
Just keep talking about the pictures. Of
Yeah, just go back to talking about Barefoot.
So, Brett's question is, what are my thoughts on Barefoot? I like to leave them barefoot until they tell me that they can't be, which is gimping around, things of that nature, you know. But that's kind of a cowboy / horse trainer standpoint on it. The professional farrier standpoint, I guess, could be that it just depends on your horse and what you do with your horse. If you're not doing necessarily a whole lot with your horse, or you're always in an arena, things of that nature, and they don't need corrective work, fuck yeah, leave them barefoot. Saves you money, saves me time, and there's nothing natural about me tacking a shoe on. And like you were just saying when we were fixing the camera, one of the worst things you can do to a foot is run a nail hole through it. But if your horse has issues, whether it's soundness issues, angle issues, tendon, ligament, whatever the case may be,
Riding on tough ground, all that good stuff, you really like to ground and pound on them, I can get a lot more done with a set of shoes, especially the corrective work and fixing things, you know, navicular, white line disease, all that stuff. I can get abscesses, all that stuff. I can get way more done putting shoes on something. But the general gist would be, if you don't need them, leave them barefoot. Yeah. How many you try to get under a day? Or let me rephrase that. Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line where I can't do a good job if I get under more than X amount?
So over the summer, I was there for a second. I was getting under 14, 15 a day, and I kind of culled that back to about 10. Part of that is daylight issues as well. Like right now, I'm only getting under 6 to 8. But about the time I was hitting that 12th, 13th, 14th horse, I was getting slow. I try very, very hard not to get sloppy, but I would just get slow. And it was hard on the horse, and it was hard on me, because it was taking me a lot longer to get them done and for me to get done and get home. So next summer, even with the daylight, I think 10 or 11 will kind of be my cutoff. That shoes, trims, shit.
What you do, chili?
Yeah, trims take me 25 minutes. I could do 20 of those in a day. If I got the daylight for it, no problem. But shoes, I'll keep it at about 10, give or take.
What stemmed this from the get-go is we put when we first started talking about this months ago, we put an egg bar on that horse of mine.
We did, with 4 clips.
with clips, and I remember that the clips thing was something that we talked about.
We did. Yeah, we talked a lot about clips.
Clips had always been a mystery to me. I thought that was a way to keep your shoe on better, and it always seemed silly to me. That didn't seem to me like it would keep a clip on at all. Talk about a clip, explain what you're doing there, and then even talk about that horse and explain what we were doing with him.
Yeah. So that particular horse had a coffin bone injury, and I was trying to prevent expansion and contraction of the foot, which is what clips are for. In my personal opinion, it kind of goes back to the 6 versus 8 nail thing we were just talking about in the other video that he's going to put up. In my personal opinion, clips are never going to keep a shoe on a foot. If 1,300-pound horse steps on it, it's coming off. The question is how much foot you're yanking off with it. What clips are really, really good for is preventing the contraction and expansion of the foot that the foot does when it hits the ground and then comes off the ground, which can act kind of like a cast in that particular instance. It can provide stability to weak, brittle hooves and things of that nature. But it all, in my mind, is going to come back to preventing contraction and expansion of the foot. But as far as just keeping a shoe on it, they're going to yank it, they're going to yank it.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. It's a big, strong animal. They step on it, it's coming off. Or they're going to bend it and spring the heel, and then you got to yank it anyway. That's kind of my opinion on clips. I think a lot of guys lull themselves into a false sense of security with them, as far as whether or not they think it's going to keep a shoe on. And I think a lot of guys just want to pull them to show that they can stick a shoe in a forge and pull a really nice clip.
They look cool.
Yeah, they look great, and it's a talent. I'll be the first one to. You saw my clips. It's something you got to do every day, and that you got to practice to pull a very nice, I'm gonna say AFA approved clip. It's hard. It's not easy, and absolute kudos to the guys who could just sit there and pull clip after clip after clip. But I'll be the first one to tell you I really kind of think that's what it is. At the end of the day, either a guy wants to show off how good he forges, or he's just kind of lulling himself into a false sense of security.
Right. What do you think? Do you think you can shoe a horse into a bigger size shoe?
Absolutely, 110%. I'll do that for a couple of different reasons. It just depends. The easiest way, and this is not necessarily correct or going to have anything to do with fixing the horse or setting the horse at correct angles, it's just a fact, I guess. Cutting more heel off makes the foot longer. Cutting more toe off makes the foot shorter.
Sure.
That's just a fact. So if you cut a toe off and not any heel, you're going to fit them a little smaller. If you cut a ton of heel off and no toe, you're going to fit them a little bigger. I've come across horses out there that I thought had a disproportionately small foot, and so I'll take it easy all the way around on the trim. I take it easy in the toe. I just don't take a whole lot off, and I try to fit them bigger. And I try to give them a really nice bevel, which is that real shiny, grinded part of the shoe that some farriers do. They should anyways. If they don't, they're probably kind of lazy. To help promote the growth of that hoof capsule, the whole hoof capsule, into a bigger, more proportional foot. More often than not is why I personally will try to fit one bigger. Sometimes I don't want to go with a bar shoe per se, but I want to give them some heel support, so I'll fit them big in the front to kick those heels out and give some support to those heels in the back of the leg. That's usually something pretty minor though, just a little sprain or just kind of stepped wrong, or maybe heels are a little contracted for my liking, things of that nature. But yeah, no, I'll absolutely try to fit one a little big sometimes.
And do you think a guy should always be trying to go
bigger's always better? What I mean by that is
if I've got a foot trimmed up and I think the angle is perfect, I love it. I don't want to rasp on it no more. I don't want to touch it again with my nippers, but it's in between sizes per se, which happens way more often than I would have ever thought. Of course, bigger's always better. When you fit them too small, you're going to really prevent that contraction and expansion, and which promotes loss of blood flow, which promotes contracted heels, tiny little frogs, shit like that. Problems. Sure, little shoes are hard to yank, but they're not. That's not always a good thing. So if you're between sizes, if it's I could squeeze a double aught on this horse, go to the aught.
Yeah.
Go to the 0.
Yeah. You'd rather contract to 1 than widen
absolutely.
It aught.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I've had some horses that wouldn't let me do that.
Yeah.
I've had some horses that'll just, I get a call 3 days later and they've yanked it off, and that sucks a lot. Then you just have to do the best you can and provide heel support and a good bevel for a shoe that's honestly a little bit too small, or maybe come in and just knock a tidbit more toe off to try and make that foot a little shorter and make that shoe fit a little better. But now bigger's better.
Yeah. What are some of the common things that you see, things that you see every day that just people don't understand about farriership, about the farrier world, that just pet peeves, some irritating things, and this is, let's not even get into not getting a horse foot broke.
Right.
We're worried about that, but besides that, just things people don't understand.
So you mean like coming behind another farrier, or from the standpoint of the owner?
Let's start with the standpoint of the owner, and then we'll go to the next question.
So this used to really not bother me until I started doing a bunch in a day, but just have your horse haltered.
Caught and ready to go.
Yeah, caught and ready. You ain't got to pick their hooves for me. You ain't got to wash them. There's this one guy, and I won't name names, but he acts like farriers walk on fucking water, and that you need to power wash your horse off and then give them time to dry so they're not wet and this and this and this and this. I'm just a regular fucking dude doing a job, but having them caught just really speeds my day along.
Yeah.
When I can finish one, hand it to you, and then literally just walk 10 feet and grab the next one, you have no idea how much that speeds my day along. Something I'm going to touch on that personally doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers some other farriers, and I don't get why, is feeding your horse while I'm shoeing it. I know that bothers a lot of farriers, and I don't understand why, because I can't tell you how many horses I've shod that were being a dick until you stuck some hay in front of it, and then I was done 45 minutes later.
Yeah.
Just like, if it makes the horse stand good, the fuck do you care?
Yeah.
Other than that, personally, I don't really have any pet peeves. Don't, for the love of God, let your horse bite me. That sucks. I can't. I guess that is kind of a pet peeve, actually. I've had a bunch of horses reach around and bite me right on the ass while I'm doing a front foot or something. And, Fluffy's got so much personality. Fluffy's dick. So that's pet peeve. Yeah. Some ways to help keep your horse from leaning on me, I guess, which personally doesn't bother me a whole lot. If you're gonna shoot horses for a living, you're gonna get leaned on. You just gotta get used to it. But if your horse's head is turned away from me, there's a good chance they're leaning on me. Keep their head turned towards me, because then all they can do is lean the other way. That's just basic anatomy of how a horse works, that a lot of people I don't think actually understand. So that's good to know, just try to keep your horse either straight ahead or turned towards me. That keeps him from leaning on me real bad. And you come across the occasional smart horse that'll still figure out how to lean on you a little bit. if you're not comfortable with correcting your horse, don't know what to correct, tie him up, walk away. Let me do my job. That's about all I got for pet peeves as far as the owner.
What about coming behind other farriers? What are some of the things you see that?
To be honest, I could just tell when a farrier was lazy, and it would all boil. I could probably talk for 2 hours on that, but it would just all boil down. Don't be lazy. I don't care if a horse sucks. I've had a lot of crappy horses that I wasn't lazy, and I still did my job right, and it takes extra time. Charge them for it.
Right.
Most of them will pay it, and most of them will understand why, and occasionally somebody kind of pitches a fit. Most of the time, if you tell them, well, Fluffy didn't stand very good, and I had to reschedule my last appointment because I'm not going to make it there today, and that cost me money, though they might huff and puff a little bit, but you'll get the money.
Right.
And they may not call you back. Who cares? The horse horse didn't stand very good. Who cares?
Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't like Fluffy very much. That's fine with me. I won't name names. There's a client right now who's tried to get a hold of me twice, and her horse bites like hell. He's just a biter, and he'll do it all day long. I haven't called her back because I'm not going to go get bit for a $60 trim.
Right.
Who cares? There's more horses to shoe.
Yeah.
Either charge them more or just don't go back. But do the job right.
Yeah.
When you're there, if you're going to do it, if you're there, do it right. And then you either charge them for the extra time and trouble or just don't go back.
Yeah. What do you think about some of these specialty shoes? Whether the natural balance or webs or there's a bunch
of them out there. Yeah, there's a ton of them out there.
We threw that wasn't you and I, but I threw some of those those endurance shoes on.
Oh yeah.
On a horse, and I thought they were kind of cool actually.
But
just in general, what are your feelings about those specialty kind of shoes?
I think they're all great when you use them for what they're for. Like those endurance shoes on endurance horses. That's a prime example of when you use them for what they're for. They're fantastic. I think those horses need that ease of breakover and that heel support for those incredibly long endurance races. I think you really preserve their leg. Natural balance shoes, if you got a horse that's foundered real bad and needs a lot of leverage taken off their toe, or has a real bad deep digital flexor tendon injury or strain or sprain or anything of that nature, I think those are great because they ease the shit out of breakover. What I don't like about specialty shoes is guys will fix one horse with them and then that's all they'll tack on.
Yeah.
And that's not right. That's not what those shoes are for. Not every horse on planet Earth needs a set of natural balances. They're not natural. I know they got the word natural in them,
right,
but they're not natural. There's nothing natural about easing breakover that much or standing a horse that far on its toe. Freedom shoes, not every horse needs freedom shoes, which this isn't an aluminum clog.
Okay.
But I've had great success with them, with horses. Had some kind of mysterious lamenesses that I couldn't really fix, and finally I just say fuck it, and I tack a set of freedom shoes on them, and it works, and it's great, and they stay sound. I would never do it under any other circumstance than that, though, and I just think some guys really get attached to certain kinds of those specialty shoes, and it's all they want to carry, and it's all they want to tack on, and that's not right.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You just got to use them for what they're for.
Yeah.
If you use them for what they're for, I like them all to an extent.
Sure.
When you use them for what they're for, they made them for a reason. It's because they work for certain stuff. And the biggest one I could always go back to is those natural balance shoes. I've literally seen farriers that don't carry anything else.
Right.
That's literally all they have in their rig. Why?
Right.
You could just knock some toe out of your trim, tack a regular old shoe on.
I was going to say, I think the natural balance shoes are, I'm with you, they're good for what they're good for. I also think I personally like them on ranch horses because it covers way more sole. Like if you're in a lot of rocky area,
Right.
it covers a lot more foot. You get more shoeings out of them. There's the extra nail holes, so you can kind of fit things a little different. I think they're a good all-around kind of a shoe, not a cure-all kind of a shoe necessarily. But the thing is, I can take a regular old St. Croix and I can square that foot off just exactly the same.
You could take
and get that same breakover.
You could take a grinder to it and roll the toe on it.
Yeah.
As much as I hate Aventers because I just think they're a cheap steal and I think they wear out. Those are halfway like a rim in the front, have real easy breakover. They're a wide web shoe that provides protection to the sole, extra heel support. I just think there's a lot of ways to get those things that you're after without tacking something that brings the point of breakover back an inch for no reason.
Right.
Is what I'm getting at. Which, to an extent, easing breakover's never a bad thing, though, either. No. The problem I've seen with those natural balance shoes and just tack, I've literally seen horses go to walking on their toes after a period of time of wearing them.
I have to.
And stove the back of their leg up real bad.
Okay. Copper nails.
They're supposed to help prevent thrush, and they're supposed to not rust as bad. I think the rust thing's a crock of horse shit. I've seen them rust just as bad as anything else. Honestly, couldn't tell you about the thrush. Hard to say.
Yeah, it just seems like they charge you a little more.
It is. They're about $4 more a box.
Yeah. That's off the top of my head. That's kind of the last question I got in mind. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about?
Most important thing is the trim. Good trim, setting them at the right angle. Don't knock all the goddamn heel off of one if you don't have to. That's about it.
Good.
Really, yeah.
Get your horse foot before I show up.
Yeah. Your job is to get it foot broke.
Yeah, I am not a trainer. Yeah. I will train your horse if you let me know ahead of time and you're willing to pay for the training. But other than that, have them broke before I get there.
Yeah.
I'm not like most farriers. If you tell me and I can plan my day accordingly and you are okay with paying the price, I'll hoof break your horse. No problem. That's fine. You may not like the way that I do it, to be honest, but I'll hoof break your horse. But yeah, other than that, have them broke before I get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have babies to shake and hands to kiss. So, adios.